How's it going, guys? So today I thought I could talk about the building permits survey. And oftentimes, what you'll see is that information really kind of shown at like a national level. Uh, but I don't really see many people really show it or much less talk about it too much, really at a local level. And look, a lot of this information is available in Fred, but if you've worked with Fred at all, you'll realize that oftentimes it's very limited in scope in terms of what's actually um, available in it. So by that I mean sometimes like if you try and look at this information, say at like a county level, maybe they're only showing the annual figures, and they I don't believe that they show it by like single family versus multifamily. And this is monthly. It's cut by not only units authorized, but the value assigned to them over here and the associated buildings and structures even. So, yeah, that being said, I mean, and by the way, this information, I mean, we're looking like we'll call it beginning of 94 all the way up to February of 2025. So I'll just kind of explain this visual quickly. So as I was alluding to, this is the units authorized. So by single family, light blue, dark blue is multifamily. That's 2+ units, and they're obviously the theme, the coloring is the same on these three charts. And if you're wondering, like say down here, you're like, well, I'm trying to square these two, like the bottom right and the top left. Well, I mean, the reality is a multi-family building is going to have more than one unit, right? And so that's why it just renders differently. So let me zoom in on this. That's why I really like this software. It makes this stuff a little easier to see. Um, what you're seeing is just really a demand problem. So it's the same thing you really saw during GFC, and it's really just kind of a much larger version of that, you could say, just right now in a place like Austin. By the way, this information, they cut it by like state, by county, and even place. And place sort of encompasses like a city, a town, and even like an unincorporated area. So look, I know, by the way, I'm showing the moving average, 12, 24, and 36-month moving average for single family year over year down here. I'll explain why in a second. But I know people will say, look at something like this top chart, and they'll say, well, hey, it's just a multifamily issue because it's so outsized relative to history, really post GFC. And the answer is that's just objectively false for a number of reasons. So, the actual structural stock of homes in a place like Austin is still primarily going to be something like single family. And remember, this is just what's contributing to the existing housing stock. It's not the cumulative housing stock itself. This is just the activity that's contributing to it, right? I mean, I would hope that that's fairly clear. So, um, I mean, you wouldn't be seeing things like really the median sales price for even single family homes. I believe it's still in contraction in a place like Austin. So there's just too many homes from a structural standpoint. Homes per capita in a place like Austin is very, very high. I think it's at all time highs. You look way back in history. And even something like that is true in a place like Nashville, Davidson County, which has a lot of the very same characteristics as a place like Austin. So, um, man, these people are they're seeing what they want to see, and they're just trying to make, uh, their hunch as to this idea that there's a housing shortage just fit, and it's just objectively false. So, guys, I mean, look, this is literally the entire building permit survey, right? I mean, do you see that? I would hope that's clear. So, now, I know somebody will look at this and they will say, well, the population has grown in a place like Austin. So, like, maybe you're just not looking at that right. And the answer is, well, That's just wrong too. So what we're looking at here is the permitting data normalized, and I've actually iterated on it. So I'm comparing total permitted units relative to the population. That includes both single and multifamily up top, and below it's just single family in isolation. So a proper ACE face, this is what they will do. They will look at that top chart and they will say, oh, well, it's just, say, a multifamily issue, right? Because relatively speaking, versus single family, it looks outsized. But again, a place like Davidson County and even Travis County, although they have a little bit lower home ownership rate than say what you'll see at the national level, it, it is still predominantly they're still predominantly single family markets. So it's you see a move down in permitting really around a recession, which is what we're seeing in both of these markets right now. And so people are just trying so hard to really justify their perception of reality, which was probably just what some banker told them what was happening, which was just a giant lie. There's a lot of homes, okay, a lot of homes per capita, and it cannot be fully explained by, say, the changing household dynamics over time. I've spent probably way too much time talking about that because I think it's incredibly important. And on top of that, when you look at really something like the origination data, even for like people just buying single family, it's not they're very, especially like we'll call it 2022 and on buyers who finance their purchase, they're extremely cost burdened. So that's really a double whammy. You have extreme unaffordability. The households in terms of size are very low, which means that, as I've alluded to many times, there are fewer potential incomes per home. And then you have softening labor markets really all over the place, which causes uh, some real volatility in terms of price. And if price is going to go anywhere from here, because we've had dual income households for really decades, and even something like that is observable at a very granular level all over the country, this thing is very fragile and it unwinds rather quickly. So, yeah, do with that information what you will. But look, I've talked to even some realtors and folks locally, and they're really scratching their head trying to make sense of the fact that, well, I don't understand maybe why the home isn't moving because the comps check out and this and that. Well, garbage in, garbage out, folks, right? You got to zoom out and look at the macro right now. Things have changed. And it looks very much like the beginning of 2023 all over again. So, and that's when we were seeing price declines at that time. So, unless they pull like a rabbit out of the hat, this thing is it's just kind of ugly under the surface. So, anyway, okay, guys, that's all I got. Have a good one.